up, Soul fam? Welcome back to Max Mello's Architects of Soul. I'm your host, Max Soul.
And I'm Mello Soul. And for those of you who don't know, we're part of a group called Soul of the New Vibe. But here on Architects of Soul, our role is to learn and teach.
That is what's up, Mello. We pass on the knowledge of those who came before us in a field we all dream about conquering. And don't say you don't.
I do.
No, you do. I do too. So we're going to try to take their wins and turn them into today's wins.
That's definitely it, Max. We're here to take you on a journey through the incredible history of soul music, exploring the titans who laid the foundation for the sounds we love today. From the artists and writers to players, producers, engineers, to the forward-thinking decision makers who believed in this music.
That's a lot, too. And you know what, Mello? We're not just talking about the hits. We're talking about diving deep into the lessons and legacies of these musical architects. Let's understand their struggles, their triumphs, and the innovations that shaped an entire genre.
And today, we're kicking things off in a truly legendary location, Muscle Shoals, Alabama. We're going back to a time and place that birthed some of the most soulful sounds that the world has ever heard, focusing on the pioneering spirit of Rick Hall and the magic that happened at Fame Studios.
Yeah, it was magic. Fame wasn't just a studio. It was a crucible where raw talent and genuine emotion collided. Rick Hall's vision, an incredible foresight, and his relentless drive created such an environment, and it fostered this incredible music. And we know what? We're going to explore how this journey and the musicians that he brought together left an indelible mark on soul music.
So buckle up, soul fam. Get comfortable.
Bet.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll dig deep into the story of a sound that shook the world.
So you got it. Stick around. We're back. Before we dive deeper, if you like what you're hearing and if you're vibing with what we're laying down,
if you're digging what we're saying,
please give a like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us bringing you these impactful, insightful, soulful stories.
Absolutely, Max. So let's talk about what truly defined the Muscle Shoals sound. Yes, the players were instrumental.
Ha.
Now there's a pun for you, Max.
Here on Max and Mello's Architects of Soul, the pun never ends. But I do digress. Back to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Yeah, those players were indeed critical, but not without the man with the plan, who molded them and the sound he heard in his head into music history. Rick Hall, who owned Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals. What a guy. Unbelievable. He was a producer with a famously tough reputation of being a hard ass, but he had a really great ear, and he knew exactly what he wanted to hear. And he assembled this group of hungry, young, local, and incredibly talented white kids.
And these guys, who would later become known as the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section and then the legendary Swampers, they weren't just musicians, they were groove architects. They were young guys, they were really just kids trying to make their mark, and there was something truly special about what happened when they played together. That's what made them these architects of the groove.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So Barry Beckett on keyboards, Roger Hawkins on drums, David Hood on bass, and Jimmy Johnson on guitar. Mm-hmm. It is a truly wonderful story. And what's so powerful about that, Mello, is that they weren't from the traditional R&B hubs. They were from Alabama. And they brought a unique blend of Southern rock, which it wasn't called at that. It had to wait till the next segment. You'll find out why. And we will touch on this later. But it had that blend of that and country and blues into the rhythm and the feel. And when you listen to those Fame recordings, like the drums are really heavy and the bass is so funky and the guitar has this raw, gritty edge. That wasn't an accident. That's Rick Hall. It was the result of a diverse set of influences and a collective feel that was unique to them, but the ears of Rick Hall to blend it.
Exactly. Rick Hall was a hard taskmaster, and he knew what he wanted, but he also recognized that these young guys had a certain magic.
He damn well did.
And he was smart enough to not try to make them sound like the Motown band or the Stax band. He nurtured and trusted their instincts. Even if he was pushing
he pushed them hard.
Yeah,
He did.
He might be pushing them for a perfect take. He was right most of the time.
He was. No, he knew. If he told you to do it again, there was a reason. You understand that.
Yeah, because he was chasing an authentic feel, not just a technical perfection. He was an architect of not just studio, but of a sound.
There's that word again. Architect.
There you go.
Yep. It's a huge lesson, though, for us and for any artist today. Like the true magic that happens when a producer and musicians find a way to honor everyone's unique voice while still working towards a shared vision. Damn, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. The fact that this all-white group was creating the backbone for some of the most iconic black soul artists of the era, like Aretha and Wilson Pickett, it's a testament to the fact that music, at its core, those 12 tones that we talk about all the time, transcends racial and cultural boundaries. There was no black or white in the studio. The rhythm and the feeling were all that mattered. And the fact is that Aretha and Wilson both said that when they went down to Fame and went in there, they were expecting to find black musicians. And there was a bunch of young, short-haired, collared button shirt-wearing young white boys. And it all changed the second they started to play. Like I said, no black or white, right?
Just people looking to make a hit record.
Exactly, just people looking to make a hit record.
Yeah, Max, that's another common thread in this music. So that musical trust created a safe space where artists could truly be vulnerable and lay it all out there.
Oh, they became one. And Rick Hall fostered that.
Mm-hmm. And the emotional weight of those songs from Fame is a direct result of that collaborative, authentic environment that Rick Hall fostered, even with his tough-as-nails approach.
Yeah, you could say what you want about Rick Hall, but he drove those guys to the right place and made it about the music and nothing else. So in a sense, he too is an architect. Mm-hmm. And we keep pulling that word out.
Yeah, and speaking of word out, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So stick with us.
Ooh, a veiled cameo reference.
And welcome back to Max and Mello's Architects of Soul. We're diving into a pivotal moment in the Muscle Shoals story, the departure of the Swampers from Fame to form their own Muscle Shoals Sound studio.
Which was a big deal.
Yeah, it really was. And before we do get into that, Max, why don't you just tell us how Stax's loss became Muscle Shoals' gain?
Well, it's funny because we were talking about Stax just a few weeks ago, right? So Stax had Carla Thomas, her dad, Rufus, yeah. I couldn't think of it. Her dad, Rufus, wanted to do a duet, right? So they chose Stax to do it at, right? And at the same time, Jerry Wexler sent Wilson Pickett up to Stax to do some recording. And apparently, Wilson kind of liked Carla. Now, Carla was singing a duet with her daddy. That was weird enough as it was, right? But it worked. But I think that was a problem because Wilson got a little maybe grabby. I don't know, but we know Wilson.
We know Wilson.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's okay. That's how people were back.
Carla was cute. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And she was badass too.
Yeah.
So they got fired. Basically, Stax got the sukkah, and so that became Rick. And Rick Hall had just talked to Wexler just recently and told him about the studio and these kids. And next thing you know, here they go down to Muscle Shoals. And, well, Mello, I would say that was truly, an amazing thing because we talked about that before. They thought they were coming down to a black rhythm section and it was a white rhythm section. And these little kids, they were badass. But that got to a point where the Swampers felt like it was time for them to stretch their legs. They always wanted to have their own place. They did, and they talk about that. And it was a major turning point. They were seasoned killers at that point, and they'd always wanted to open up their own place to see if they could do it on their own. But first they had to tell Rick that. And Rick, God, at that point, Rick talks about how he was enjoying the ride and was all excited about how things were going with Wex and everything, and things were coming next for them and how incredibly well they were doing.
Yes, Max. And the Swampers have become so integral to the Fame sound, contributing to countless hits. Their decision to go independent sent shockwaves through the music scene, not to mention the position Rick Hall.
Yeah,
Rick Hall also got into put into a strange position when they told him. And it speaks to the resilience of Rick Hall to pivot successfully, and for the Swampers, their entrepreneurial spirit and desire for creative control that often drives us musicians. At that time, especially back then,
right?
The studio musicians came up with all the parts.
Oh, yeah, and they still did. That continued for many years. But yeah, there were no real charted out parts.
Mm-mm. This practice kept on for many years, and for most studio players. So all those cool licks and guitar riffs and all those great keyboard, bass, and drum parts.
Hell yeah.
They were all pretty much created from those players at that moment. Who just happened to be in the session. Yeah.
Exactly. So you might see a chord chart, or someone would have a little part of the idea, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. And the band created those iconic riffs. And that happened forever. And and it's probably still happening today.
Absolutely. They wanted to have more ownership of their work and explore their own artistic vision. It's a powerful lesson about recognizing your worth and taking leaps of faith when you believe in your path.
Hell yes. But what's truly remarkable is Rick Hall's response to this, right? Instead of folding, he doubled down. He recognized the need to find new talent, musicians who could capture that same raw, soulful energy that he had defined at Fame, right? With this last bunch of kids in the same place.
And he did just that. He found another incredible group of musicians who
sure did
and continued the Fame legacy. And this demonstrates the incredible resilience and unwavering belief in his vision. It teaches us about the importance of adapting and finding new strengths even when faced with significant challenges.
Oh, my God, yes. It highlights that while individual talent is crucial, the culture and the environment you create can also be a powerful force. Rick Hall had built something special at Fame, and that continued to attract incredible musicians. Even after the departure of such a foundational group, the lesson here is about building a sustainable creative ecosystem.
And as we said earlier, many of the artists coming down from places like Stax or through Jerry Wexler.
Yeah, Wex was big for all of this.
Yeah. They assumed these musicians were black.
They sure did.
And were shocked to find out that they were white, and yet they all got along great and made incredible music together. It really speaks to the power of their musicianship.
And the power of music in the first place. Mm-hmm. And the power of soul to bridge every gap, even in segregated Alabama, no less. Hey, don't go anywhere.
Stick around and we'll be right back with more on the Muscle Shoals saga.
Damn straight. Thanks for tuning into Architects of Soul. Our music is waiting for you.
Welcome back to Max Mello's Architects of Soul. We're talking about the parallel journeys of Fame Studios and Muscle Shoals Sound Studio after the Swampers went their own way.
That's right. And all of this is a fascinating look at how soul music overcame boundary lines, even in the Deep South, right? And this leads me to a pretty freaking amazing story that happened before the Swampers left Fame. So back in 1968, when Fame was getting their stuff together and Stax was still down there and Wex was dealing with all that, a young guitar player named Duane Allman arrived at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals. He was without a band, and he was looking for his next big opportunity. And at this point, he hadn't yet achieved the widespread fame he would later gain with the Allman Brothers Band and playing with Eric Clapton and Layla and all those amazing things. So, but this is early in that. So Rick Hall tells the story that Duane literally pitched a tent in the Fame Studios parking lot to stay close to the action, to show his dedication, and to go fishing. Okay. Well, Duane loved to fish. Butch Trucks talks about that. Well, aside from the fishing, this act of persistence really caught the attention of Rick Hall, who was initially hesitant to bring in a new guitar player, but was so impressed by Allman's talent that he decided to give him a chance. And it was in those sessions that Duane's distinct slide sound and his ear and his incredible skill were put to work, leading to the convincing of Wilson Pickett to play a Beatles tune, and both their legendary performances on said Beatles tune, which is Wilson Pickett, Aretha's version of The Weight. I mean, Duane was an amazing musician.
Yeah, so Max, while he was a respected musician in certain circles, Duane Allman wasn't a star when he arrived at Muscle Shoals.
No, just the term.
Through his sheer talent and a bold act of persistence, earned his place in music history. And yes, The vibe was great with Aretha and Wilson.
100%. They had an amazing time.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the reasons they actually got to hang out so much is that Duane had long hair.
Yeah, he was a hippie.
And Wilson was black.
Of course, and he was in the South. And where were they? Alabama.
They were in Alabama, as we pointed out a couple of times. So either of those two were safe. They could stay and
true.
They would stay and hang out together while everybody else went to lunch.
Yeah, because you had to have someone go with you. One of the white guys with the button-up shirts. I think that's hysterically funny. Because Duane was a hippie. And that gave them the
opportunity to relate to each other.
Oh, it did. No, it totally did. And you got to say an amen to that because, Duane's the guy who convinced Wilson to do Hey Jude. And Wilson, he was like, there's a story about that because Wilson, Duane said to him, you should do Hey Jude. And he goes, I ain't doing no song about no Jews. And Duane started laughing. He goes, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Beatles song, Hey Jude. And, no one ever thought about that. And what ended up happening is that this turned into this giant anthem. So at the back end of the song, when Wilson finished his lyrics and Duane started playing, the horns were playing their parts. And this out became the basis for what was known as Southern rock. I mean, it's amazing. It shows that from soul music, we can get to other genres and spring them into being, which comes from out of this music.
Yes, Max. And the great thing about music is those 12 tones.
Yeah, you can play them any way you like, Mello. And with great musicians, that usually leads to really wonderful things.
So after the Swampers left Fame, they formed Muscle Shoals Sound Studio.
Yeah, they did some great stuff. And they worked with a very diverse range of artists, including the Staple Singers, Bob Singer, and even the Stones came down there. I mean, what are you going to say, right? That's some great stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So meanwhile, back at Fame, Rick Hall kept going. Right, he created another band that was quite amazing, bringing in new artists, maintaining that signature soulful sound. It showed that there wasn't just one path to success. So both Rick Hall and the Swampers, despite their separation, were able to carve out their own unique and influential spaces in music history. That's pretty cool. The lesson here is about embracing your individual journey and leveraging your unique strengths.
And speaking of leveraging your unique strengths, if you're enjoying this deep dive into soul history, please take a moment and like and subscribe. We would really appreciate your support.
We sure would. Absolutely. The story of these two studios, born from the same creative spark but different paths, offers a powerful lesson about the cyclical nature of the music industry and the importance of preserving your history while also being open to change.
We'll wrap things up with the lasting legacy of Muscle Shoals and the incredible music that continues to be made there today.
Truly does.
When we come back in segment 5, so stay with us.
Stick around. Hey, welcome back to our final segment of Max Mello's Architects of Soul. Today we've explored the incredible story of Rick Hall and Fame Studios, the emergence of the Swampers and Muscle Shoals Sound Studio, and the profound impact they had on soul music, and on me.
Okay. What stands out is the passion, the resilience, and the collaborative spirit that defined this era.
Oh, hell yes.
Rick Hall's unwavering dedication.
Even the hard ass that he was.
Well, yeah, you had to be a hard ass sometimes.
Oh, he was.
Even in the face of losing his legendary house band, is a powerful reminder to persevere through challenges.
That's true. That's true. And the Swampers' move to create their own studio highlights the importance of artistic agency and the drive to shape your own creative destiny. Wow, both stories, though intertwined with moments of conflict, seriously, ultimately contributed immensely to the richness and depth of soul music.
The lessons from Muscle Shoals resonate deeply with us artists today.
I agree.
The emphasis on raw emotion, authentic performance, and the power of a tight-knit musical community are principles we strive for in our own work with Soul of the New Vibe.
Absolutely. Understanding the journey of these architects has helped us navigate our own path, reminding us to honor the past while pushing the boundaries of what soul music can be, which is what we want to do.
That's right. So as we wrap up this episode, we always like to leave you with this closing thought.
And it comes truly from our heart. Remember, keep that soul fire burning. Protect your sound, nurture your creativity, own your own voice, and remember the lessons from the giants who came before. And yes, protect your masters and seek out wise mentors who can guide you on your journey. And until next we meet, Peace and soul, y'all.